Happy Woman Herstory Month, everybody. Hopefully, you all have had a great month if you're a woman out there, okay? We are ending the month, but we have a couple of things that's happening in the Black Girls Den before we end the month out. So, my name is Alicia. Welcome to the Black Girls Den podcast channel. If you've never been here, this is a podcast all about womanhood and media. But today we are doing something different where we are doing a den talk, kind of like a TED talk, but it's in the den. And we have this series to highlight health and wellness topics that affect Black women day to day. And I wanted to bring some awareness to some of the big things that affect women and their conditions and their lifestyles that some of us go through. And it is endometriosis. Okay. So this month is known as the Endometriosis Awareness Month. So I decided to use my platform to have some women share their stories who live with this condition in the day and age where Black women are being like gaslighted in the medical field. I want women to be able to share their stories. So if someone may feel like they are experiencing the same thing or know someone else, you all can advocate for yourselves. If you are in here, please make sure you like the live. But we are not medical professionals, okay? And I'm not a medical researcher. So this is just for awareness. But I do want you to know your body, and I also want you to be in tune with it. And if you do have, these symptoms, are you going through it? You can definitely chat in the comments with us. We're going to be checking the comments while we talk. But I want to introduce my Endo Warriors for this this Den Talk. Oh, not TED Talk. Brianna and Paula, they have shared some of their story online, and I'm grateful they came to the den to talk more about it. So as I bring them up to stage, make sure you're clapping and in the comments. All right. Fake applauses, but here, woo, welcome to the stage. Okay, welcome to the VGD stage. Brianna and Paula, thank you all so much for joining. As I said, this is the stories about you all. So if you want to introduce yourself and kind of maybe tell us how long you've been dealing with it, or maybe that. We'll just start off right there.
Bree, you want to take it away?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so my name is Brianna. I live in Los Angeles, California. I am a medical social worker and a private practice therapist. But furthermore, I am an endometriosis activist. I recently was diagnosed with endometriosis in March 2025 after 19 years.
Oh my God.
And if you're new here, endometriosis is a condition where the tissue similar to the lining of the uterus grows outside of it, which can cause a lot of pain, inflammation, and even fertility challenges. So that is just a little bit about my intro, and I'm sure we'll get more into it.
Yes. Thank you for joining us.
19 years. Oh my goodness. Wow.
19.
Lord have mercy. My name's Paula, pronouns I'm she, her series. I am I'm an arts administrator, a creative all around. I act, produce, direct, playwright, and then I'm in arts administration, teach theater, all that types of stuff. So I got diagnosed with endo on February 3rd of this year in a very chaotic emergency situation. So yeah.
Oh my goodness. So this is very like recent. I did not know you were here. I see your name, but I didn't know if it's been a while or not. This question kind of aligns with it, I guess. When did you first realize something was wrong, or did you even know something was kind of wrong?
So it's interesting because I've always had bad periods. They've just always been painful to some extent. And birth control helped remedy them some. But then I had the weight loss surgery in 2017. And then when I lost a lot of weight, that's when things got rough. I started having inconsistent periods, and there was up to one point where I was bleeding more than half of the month. And We had like tried different birth controls, like say like, okay, maybe we need to up the hormones a little bit, et cetera, et cetera. And then my doctor and I, Dr. Tanya Franklin, here in Louisville. Oh yeah, I'm in Louisville, Georgia made native. I'm in Louisville, Kentucky. Dr. Tanya Franklin. She was the first, she's a Black woman. She was the first practitioner to really like listen to me when I'm talking about this pain that I have. So we decided that I would get an IUD, because IUDs, hormonal IUDs especially, are supposed to help with some of the pain. And we thought like, all right, that might be a good buffer. And she transferred me to another doctor, excuse me, that's what I'm looking for. Not transfer, not recommend.
Referred.
Referred me. Yes, thank you. She referred me to another doctor who like dealt with complex cases like mine. And I was supposed to, get a full workup. And I learned last month that I actually did not get the full workup that I was supposed to get. And the way that I got diagnosed is like it was like on a Sunday night. I was just like not feeling well. I'm like, when you like, those who menstruate know that sometimes you get like cramps. You also like you get a little gassy. And so I'm like, ooh, girl, that's what it is. I took my little gas X, went about my business, went through my day. And then I was like, okay, we're gonna try it again. Took it, tried to go back to bed, and I woke up like every hour and a half to like every hour and a half to 2 hours. And I was just like, okay, this is just really abnormal. And I told myself, like, if I don't feel good by 6 a.m., like I'm gonna go to the ER. And I'm definitely the type of person don't like to ask for help. So I was like, I'm gonna drive myself. Took myself to the ER, and they were like, okay, yeah, you have an ovarian cyst that ruptured. And I was like, oh, work. Okay, didn't know that happened. And then they were like, yeah, we see that your ovaries, one of your ovaries is in torsion, aka it's twisted. So when your ovary is twisted or in torsion, it can cut off the blood supply. And so it's real like time is of the essence in situations like that, because you don't want to have necrosis, which is where like that part dies, and you don't want to have that growing inside of you. So they were like, yeah, we're going to transfer you. And then I went to Yuva Hospital from Norton's, because that's where my doctor was. And we're like doing the whole like, okay, we're going to do surgery and this and this. So I ended up going into surgery on Monday night, and they were like, "Oh yeah, this doesn't really take that long. Like we should have you back in here, but within 2 hours." One of my best friends, Jessica, shout out to Jess. She was there with me the entire time because my family's in Georgia. And when I woke up, they were like, "Okay, we have some good news and we have some bad news." I'm like, "Okay." And they're like, so we were able to drain and remove almost all of the cysts. I'm like, okay, cool. And they were like, and your ovary wasn't twisted. And I'm like, oh, word, not twisted. And they're like, well, it's actually, here's the bad news, your ovary is covered. And I was like, what? And they were like, your ovary, one of your fallopian tubes, some of your uterus, and then I learned some of my bowels are covered with endometrial tissue. So I have a stage 4 bowel endometriosis. And it is something that, so with endometriosis, it doesn't always show up on the scans. So all the scans they did at the hospital, it just looked like my ovary was twisted. But when they opened me up, everything was like fused together and all covered and wrapped. And my surgery ended up taking a lot longer than anticipated, because they were like, oh, this is not, we didn't think we are going to open up and then see like all of your organs fused together. So it definitely, that was my face the entire time. It definitely, having the diagnosis is so comforting, because I feel like I feel less alone, and I feel like, okay, I'm not crazy. That's the only thing I keep thinking of. I'm not crazy. But now knowing, like, it makes so much sense as to how and why I feel the way I feel. And yeah, I've yapped enough. I want to make sure I'm saving space.
No, well, because I have a couple of follow-up questions, because
Yeah.
somebody doesn't know endometriosis. So you kind of shared that you're at stage 4. I did my own research, so I do know there's kind of like 4 stages. But the stage 4, isn't that like, is that like the highest one?
Yes.
Correct. And
Yeah.
so my question to you is, I know I was doing them faces because that's what I'll be doing in the doctor's office too. So, but it's like, how do you know, or were you feeling something? Because I'm just like, how do they diagnose it as stage 4? I guess that's my question. Like, how do
So,
they?
and I now this is going to be the part, I hope I'm remembering it correctly. But I think it was like the amount and the rate at which it was growing, and like how much I have that's like covering. Um, there was one more thing I was going to say. Yeah, I think that's how they died. Now I could be wrong, but yeah, like the rate and the amount. Oh, this is the thing. The hormonal IUD. So there's a copper IUD and then there's hormonal IUDs. I have a hormonal one. It actually did a lot of heavy lifting in terms of slowing down it slowed down the growth of the endometriosis. So the biggest thing that comes to pass is like when we think about fertility, when and if I do have a child, the like my IUD is going to have to come out. So it's like, who's to say that in the time between the IUD coming out and me conceiving, that it won't just like get exponentially worse.
Mhm.
It's one of those things that like for me specifically, that if my ovarian, like if I did not have an ovarian cyst rupture, I would not have known I had endometriosis likely until I went to try to conceive and then conceive.
That's what I was gonna ask you, because I was like, so I know you were saying that you were having like bad periods and stuff like that, but I was like, because it never came up, and it's like it's kind of hard to like diagnose it, I should say.
Hmm.
But then
Hmm.
it's like very interesting because it's like it went always like it went to boom boom surgery stage 4. Like it was just like
Yes,
wow,
literally. Yes,
very quick.
yes.
So that's why I was
It,
wondering. Okay,
yeah,
okay.
it was very quick, and there are parts of it. So like I'm there are parts of it where I'm still like still have to learn more. So like the endometriosis, like the you can get the endometrial nodules, like they can grow on lots of organs, like even up to your lungs.
Oh my
Mine
god.
happened, yeah.
Okay.
So mine, as of right now, I still have to get, actually have to get an MRI. Um, mine are located in like a lot of my nodules are located onto my bowels. So I have like 10 centimeters worth of endometrial nodules that are onto my bowels like this. So I will likely have to get surgery to remove those nodules, like remove about that, like that 10 centimeters worth of my bowels, have to get those removed. They call it resected. So they'll remove them and then put them back together, put my bowels back together. And it's one of those things where I think it has like there are so many steps to get a proper diagnosis. Like I had this, but then like I have to get an MRI, and then I have to get a colorectal exam so they can see how far up it's going. Then they have to like look in my vagina and see how deep it's growing into there because they tend to protrude. So yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, it's so many steps for one thing, and that's why like this whole medical thing is like whatever it's called, this medical system, like it's so frustrating. You got to do this to get referred here to do this. It's like, hey, I need one person, and I need to be able to go because things can happen, and just being the life of a woman, like knowing that you just had a surgery and then you have to do another, like have to have another surgery potentially. Like this stuff is traumatic, and I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't give a freak about insurance at this point. Like this is traumatic stuff that is happening to women, the ones that y'all be wanting to say y'all need they bear children, need to do all of that, and we have no protection on women. All these
Right.
things that we're talking about affects women. These men don't have to go through none of this stuff, and that's a whole nother conversation for another day. But we'll head to Brianna, so, so you can share your story before I get mad, okay?
Yeah. Paula, we have similar stories.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. So I am a stage 4 endo warrior as well.
mhm.
Um, my story, I'm trying to see. So it took 19 years for my diagnosis. In that time, I was on every birth control you can think of, from every different pill. I was on the depot shot.
Mhm.
I've had the patch. I've I've had it all. And so basically, with that, it's kind of stopped the pain. So it worked. So there was no reason to like kind of further investigate, apparently, because it was like I was fine. The birth control was doing what it was supposed to do. Versus for other women, sometimes the birth control doesn't help. Sometimes it makes it work worse. Sometimes you have to keep switching to kind of figure out which one is going to be better for the symptoms. But for me, at 14, I was on birth control, and for many years after that, I continued on and just hopped around because they said, oh, well, don't be on this one too long. Don't be on this one too long because it can have side effects and affect the fertility. So I was fine. I kept switching and it was fine. It was basically masking my symptoms, putting a Band-Aid over it. At some point, I was just like, okay, let's get off birth control. I didn't really remember all the pain and everything that I had gone through, kind of switching and off and on. I was just like, let's just see what happens. So all the symptoms came back. The painful periods, the nausea, excruciating bowel movements, the cramps, anything you can think of, I had it. And so again, just going from doctor to doctor, everyone's like, you're fine. There's nothing wrong. We don't see anything. We don't know. And so I finally started doing research. I came across endometriosis and I was like, okay, I have that. Like, I don't know what's going on, why they don't see that, but I have that. So it was almost like a self-diagnosis. And I remember I had a period, December 2024, and I actually vomited to the point where it was all over the floor in front of me. And my now husband, he was just like, okay, there's like, this isn't right. And I'm like, well, no, I know, but if they're telling me that, you know, they're not seeing anything, like, what am I supposed to do? You know? So I'm like, okay, I obviously have to continue to advocate for myself. So I went to a new OBGYN at the time and I told her, I was like, look, I think I have endometriosis. And she said, well, okay, yes, your symptoms do align with that. Mind you, the whole time I'm thinking, why hasn't anyone discussed that with me or explained what endometriosis is? She told me the only way to get diagnosed is through surgery. So I'm like, okay, well, let's do it. Like, I have nothing to lose at this point. I've never had surgery, but I mean, something's got to give. Just give me the surgery. Like, I don't even care. Like, we'll figure it out. And of course, I went on this whole spiral of researching, and people were online saying, well, I had the surgery. They didn't find anything. And so I was being super negative about it. I was like, great. So I'm going to have the surgery, go through all this, never even had a surgery before, and they're not going to find it. And I had to really, as a social worker, therapist, I had to really like rewind, talk myself out of those negative thoughts and say, no, you know you have it, they're going to find it. I got referred to a minimally invasive gynecologist who works as an endometriosis specialist. And I went over everything. She said, yeah, it sounds like you have it. And I'm like, okay, well, here we are again. Now everybody's on the same page. It sounds like I have it. We scheduled the surgery. So this was in March of 2025. We scheduled the surgery in April of 2025. And I was really lucky and felt grateful and blessed that I was able to get surgery scheduled that soon. I hear a lot of people wait 6-7 months, if not more, to get the surgery. So we scheduled the surgery. She said, all right, I'll see you then. We'll get going. She's like, well, wait, let's do an MRI. That way it can kind of map, you know, a guide out for me to kind of see what's going on. She's like, most times it does not show on an ultrasound, and most times it does not show on the MRI. But I like to just get an MRI just to kind of take a look. And I'm like, okay, cool. I work at the hospital. I left work for a little bit, went to get the MRI, went back into work, and she called me, I think it was the next day, if not 2 days later, and she said, you have endometriosis. And I said, wait, but it's not supposed to be found on imaging. And she's like, it's all over your pelvis. It's on your bladder. It's on your colon. It's on your ovaries, your fallopian tubes. It's everywhere. And kind of like Paula, I felt relieved, like, okay, well, we knew this. Finally, we have a diagnosis. But also, I was just so hurt. And I'm like, how did it get to this point? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, how did we get here? So basically, to kind of fast forward, she told me since it was on my bowel that I needed to see a colorectal surgeon. And so I said, okay, like, clearly this is a lot serious than I thought. I saw the colorectal surgeon, and I ended up getting a colonoscopy. He wanted to see if it actually went inside. I was grateful enough that it didn't go inside, but it was on the outside of my bowels. And so he told me, yes, you're going to have a bowel resection. They took, I think it was 6 inches or 6 centimeters, 6 inches, I'm sorry, 6 inches of my bowel out. So that's what he told me. And I'm like, that doesn't even sound right. Like, how are you going to remove that? What goes in place of it? Like, something's wrong here.
Mm-hmm.
He told me that it was so bad and that the risks are so high that I can end up with a stoma and a colostomy bag. At that point, I'm freaking out. Obviously, I need to hope for the best, but I'm freaking out. They had to move my surgery because they needed all the surgeons to be together at the same time. So I couldn't have my surgery in April. That killed me inside. Luckily enough, it still moved to May, the end of May, May 31st, 2025. All surgeons on deck. I went in, it ended up being 7 hours, and I was hospitalized for 6 days.
Oh my God.
They wanted to make sure there was no leak in the bowel resection. That's what leads to having a stoma and a colostomy bag. And that's pretty much how I got my diagnosis of stage 4 endometriosis. They said they removed it, every single thing, every adhesion, they removed it all, even my bladder. And then, of course, I had the bowel resection and ended up with a drain after, which was very, very painful. But that is how I got diagnosed with stage 4 endometriosis.
Oh my goodness. That is definitely a lot. I was wondering, I was like, oh, did you have to get surgery because they found it on you, but you still have to have surgery with that. 7 hours is so long. That made me shocked. But I'm gonna do better in my facial expression because I was like, oh my gosh, 7 hours. Whew,
No, that's real. That is
Yeah.
real.
7 hours is crazy. But since you've had the surgery, and I'm sorry because it sounds like a lot of stuff. I guess even talking about this, like I'm like, ooh, I might need to go to the doctor. I might need to get because my doctor did tell me about it before, and she's like, oh, we can only diagnose it by surgery. I'm like, I'm terrified of surgery,
Mm-hmm.
but hearing what you're saying now is like it can spread, and what you were saying earlier because I seen somebody talking about it online that it can spread. So I'm like, oh, this is kind of like one of the most dangerous ones. Like it can spread all over your body, up to your lungs. Like that is very, very terrifying. But since you've had the surgery, do you still have the? I want to say do you still have the condition, but do you still have like the symptoms? Do you still have pain? Or like when they took it out, does that kind of like relieve your pain? Is that kind of
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So I had the surgery May 31st, 2025. I ended up getting on birth control right after the surgery so that I can suppress any symptoms and have my body heal because this is an inflammatory condition. So them doing all that work inside of me, I'm puffy, I'm red, I'm bleeding, I'm bruised, anything you can think of. So my surgeon recommended that I go on birth control for 6 months. And at first I'm like, here we go again. Like, what are you talking about? But obviously, looking more into it, it was what was best so that my body could heal inside. So fast forward, I got off of birth control November 2025, and we're here March 2026. I have had maybe 4 periods. The pain has gone away. I don't have the pain that I've had, and it's honestly, I thought it was a miracle. I'm like, there's no way, because you hear different stories, you read about different stories, but the pain is not there.
That's good.
However,
Okay.
yeah, I am on my fertility journey, and I have seen a fertility doctor. Um, and I did an ultrasound. Not many people know this because I'm just sharing it, but I did an ultrasound a couple weeks ago, and she told me she sees some cysts. Now, mind you, when they go in, they got everything. They reassured me. We have taken everything out. There's nothing left in there as far as cysts or endometriosis. They also looked for fibroids. They looked for everything. Whatever they found, they took it out. I didn't have any fibroids, but whatever was there, they took it out. So when I got the ultrasound and she told me she saw cysts, I'm like, okay. I'm aware that
In
they're
your ovaries or in your
in my ovaries. Yeah.
okay, okay. I'm sorry, it's a lot of different.
A lot. No,
Oh no.
Okay, so
definitely a lot. Yeah, so she found cysts in my ovaries, which can affect fertility or
Mm-hmm.
the fertility treatment. So that's where I am right now, trying to figure out if it's a hormonal thing, because sometimes cysts, they kind of come and go, sometimes they grow.
Mm-hmm.
We do know there is no cure for endometriosis. So
oh,
knowing that there is no cure,
mhm.
things can repeat.
That
Oh,
is that's what's so frustrating. That is what's so frustrating because you can get the surgery, you can remove all the things, and then there is a like I think this statistic could be wrong, but like 25% chance that it's gonna grow back. And like it is yeah, it's frustrating. It's frustrating because you can do all the things and then it will still just come right back. So you're sitting here kind of like a sitting duck. And then when you think about fertility, my surgeon described it as like a countdown clock. So first things first, like they don't with stage 4, one of the things about fertility is like it's very rare that you are able to have spontaneous like a spontaneous pregnancy. That's what they call it. When
mhm.
folks can just like think about it, have sex, and have a baby. That is like rare for folks who are in stage 4. Um, the I know something that they're gonna do for me is called the dye test, where they're gonna like put dye into my uterus,
I had
see if
that.
the dye, yes, see if the dye comes out of the fallopian tubes. If the dye comes out of my fallopian tubes, that means that I have a better chance of conceiving.
Mhm.
If the dye does not come out of my fallopian tubes, that means that I have a chance of conceiving and carrying to term. Um, and it's like, go ahead. What were you say?
Oh, I had a question, but I'll let you finish.
But my surgeon said, like, like one of the conversations she had with me was like, do you want to have children? And I was like, yes. I'm
Mhm.
34. So I'm like teetering geriatric pregnancy age to begin with. But she was like, I will do my best, but I can't make any promises. And she was like, but, you need to know that, like, once we remove this, like, it's like on a countdown because like we need to be maneuvering as if it is gonna come back. And so it's something like, especially as we think about like those who do want to bear a child, like there's so many things that I feel like I'm having to consider right now for like family planning
Mhm.
that like if you would have asked me at the beginning of the year, I would have been like, oh, I'm chilling.
Mm.
And now I'm like, no, no, like we're not chilling, girl. Like, gotta go to a fertility specialist. Who's the specialist? How much do these things cost? Fertility treatments are not cheap.
Mhm.
And yeah.
Yeah, that was gonna be my question. Since y'all brought it up, I was gonna ask, but I try not to ask people if they want kids. But since y'all brought it up, and since I did research, I knew that something like endometriosis can affect fertility. And one thing I want to say about this, because this is a woman, podcast, a womanhood podcast, I like to hold space for people who feel like that they're not a woman if they don't have children. Like in society, like your womanhood is kind of characterized by if you get married, if you have children, right? But how I was saying earlier, I don't want to call all men demons, but these people try to deem women as not women because they don't have kids. But in actuality, you don't know. People have endometriosis, people have fiber. Like there's women issues that they don't know because they didn't go to school, and it really makes me upset because that's why I want to have a space for people because all you see is motherhood, wife, wife, wife. Sometimes women feel less of a woman because they can't have kids. Or heck, they might have a condition that affects them to have kids, but everybody's not going to come on. And so y'all are brave for sharing your story, but everybody's not going to come on and share their story and know that. And that's why that is so important to even know what's going on because y'all are like the same age. So y'all are in that years about that. Because I was going to ask you too, like if you want to have kids and then you brought it up. Because I'm like, when you have to think about that and you got to plan so quickly, I'm like, dang, I'm trying to prepare. I was trying to prep in my 20s, but clearly it didn't work. But I was like, let me prepare to have kids now. And now I'm like, okay, let me prepare to have kids. My body. Now you hear fibroids. Now you hear this. Now it's so many different things that happen. And so I'm just like, of course, if you want to have kids, definitely have kids. But I'm like wanting to hold space for people who sometimes they might not be able to have kids because of fertility and stuff like that. But it's like it does not make you less of a woman just because you can't have kids. But I feel like sometimes that in society or the world, people try to say things and do different things about it. It's becoming more modern, like people are saying, like Team F2K. But for the women who do want it, I feel like it's kind of like, dang, there's like a soft spot or a different spot because you're dealing with so many things, and the medical system is not even really helping, or they can only try so hard as what they can do. And yeah, definitely, it definitely gets emotional. I feel like we should. I was going to ask that question, but I feel like show the emotions with it. So y'all kind of already answered that question. It's frustrating. It's heartbreaking sometimes. It's just like constantly going to a doctor, constantly trying to figure out that stuff. And also we can even talk about insurance and these companies. It's like you don't even get enough sick days, or you don't even get time. Like when you're talking about recovering for 6 days, I'm like, dang, do I even have 6 days of sick time off? Like, no, you don't. Somebody just said it was passed somewhere that was like it was 2 days off of they get 2 days off for like period cramps. I've always said if I ran for president, I'm putting it into the law. Women should at least, I mean, one day, okay, maybe 2 days, but I was like, they need a day off for their cycle. Like, I don't want to be sitting up at work typing when I really want to go to sleep. And now, shoot, y'all got me scared because I'm like, ooh, child, I be a little nauseous, I be tired. I said, baby, I might have to figure out the surgery too. But I mean, I guess it's better to be proactive than to not know anything, and that's why I think that these conversations are very important. So that's just my soapbox off of this from just what we started talking about. But we have a
the
comment. Oh, what are you gonna say?
oh.
Hi, ladies. Found my
Aw.
video. Wonderful topic. We'll show your life. Thank you so much, Miss Ness. I really appreciate it. Thank you for joining us. What were you about to say, Paula?
I was gonna say, for me, the fertility part of it is probably one of the most like heartbreaking aspects
Mm-hmm.
of it. I'm international Auntie Paula. Paula love the kids.
Yeah.
Like I do theater, love being around kids. In my former position, like I worked with high schoolers, so like definitely have always known that like motherhood is something that I wanted, and I kept saying to like my therapist and my mom, I was like, I did everything right. I did everything that they said I was supposed to do. Like I didn't get pregnant in high school, which is like something that is, and I don't say this like not saying this in a shady way, but like
You'll be
that
fine.
is something that happens in my family. Like that
Mhm.
is,
Oh.
teen pregnancies. Like I didn't
Mhm.
get pregnant in high school. I went to college. I went to grad school. I got a good job. I'm working on the husband part. And then it's like now something that like I want so bad
Mhm.
is now like in jeopardy. And I
Mhm.
think because I'm like again like like mom talk or all the things. My best friend has a 2-year old and we love him to death. So like my all of my algorithm is like babies, toddlers, stuff like that.
Mhm.
And it like really pissed me off at first. Like I was just
Mhm.
like dead ass. I was so mad.
Mhm.
And it was like I think there is a part of it where you like preemptively grieve or
I was gonna
mourn.
say that. Mm-hmm.
And it's so random at my job. We had to go table, we had the table out of school, and we were at a table, excuse me, we were across the way from like the library, from the Louisville Public Library. And so they had all these books on the table, and I'm like looking at them, I'm like, ooh, I'll grab one for my godson, cool. And so I go to grab the book, and like everything that happened just like rushed to my head and my heart. And then the lady looked at me and she was like, "Do you have kids?" And I just like immediately started bawling. And she was
Mm-hmm.
like, "I'm so sorry." I was like, "Girl, it's not your fault." But it's just like, I think the amount of endometriosis, I feel like, is just so wrapped into every single part of my life now that I know what it is. Like, even
Mm-hmm.
when I think about like my body, I like deal with sciatica and lower back pain.
Mm-hmm.
And a part of that is because of endometriosis.
Absolutely.
And it's just like it's so frustrating because you're like, okay, I'm forced to endure this forever, and there's nothing that's going to say this is never like, there's nothing to say that this won't come back. But then it's like also it's invisible, so it's like people don't want to see or believe. Like, when I say I have brain fog, or when I say like I am hurting so bad I can barely sit up but I look like I'm chilling, it's like, oh, nothing's wrong with you. It's like, no, your girl is in here going through.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I might need to talk to you offline because I have both of those symptoms. And they're like, "Did anything happen to you?" And I'm like, "No." Not no like that. But I'm like, "No, nothing happened." But if that correlates to that child, I need to be at the doctor's office tomorrow.
Also, family, I'm sorry, Brie, I'm gonna say this one last
Oh,
thing. Like,
no, please continue.
family, I love being black. I love the black women in my family so much. But one thing, as black women, I feel that we don't always do. I feel like we're not always socialized to talk about our health with each other,
Mm-hmm.
especially when it comes to your reproductive system.
Mm-hmm.
It like something that my mom like asked one of the surgeons, was like, "Oh, like, how long has she had this?" And the surgeon was like, "She's probably had this since she's in like 16, and there are probably other people in your family who have like some semblance of this as well." And it's one of those things, like, we don't talk about our symptoms. And like, I you get to a point where it's like, okay, it feels like you're starting from scratch, and then like you'll like talk to an auntie or talk to this, or like, "Oh yeah, I had that issue right there, or I
Mm-hmm.
had that little issue here too." And it's like, awareness is key, and awareness without being shameful about it. Because
Mm-hmm.
it's like, yeah, it feels really odd to talk about my bowels, but like, it is the truth of the matter. And if like me talking about it to one, and one person sees it and says, "Oh, okay, this sounds like very similar to what I'm experiencing," like
Mm-hmm.
that for me like makes a difference. And it's something that I like wish and hope, especially for black women, that we get more comfortable talking about it
Mm-hmm.
and not making it seem like such a radical or shameful thing. Because like,
Mm-hmm.
child, like, we bring people to the earth and the world. If like,
Yes.
if that is, if things that have to do with that are not shameful, it is
Mm-hmm.
like, and we shouldn't have to be feel shameful. So
Yes, I definitely agree, and I think that's why I wanted to do the awareness thing too, and turning 30 and stuff like that. I feel like wellness is important, and like to your point, it's kind of what we're wrapped in. We know, I know, because I'm like some things I know about probably my mom, but like some things I might not know about like other family members or whatever. But it's like the conversations that we need to have because it literally affects people's day to day and affects your life. And if you don't know or you don't know the symptoms, like I'm like, oh my goodness, like actually, let me check this or let me do this, let me figure this out. But it's just all the hospitals and all the visits. It's
mhm,
just gets overwhelming and tiring. And it's also sad because it's like we can't really put our health to the forefront because you have to work, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, gotta do that. It's just so many things that are taken away that I think is also very sad and very and really shows like what is going on, or the lack of what is going on to be able to make sure that women are healthy and stuff like that. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. That was that's really good. And it's like, okay, like, oh, let me think about that. So I'm like, what are symptoms or what are the symptoms? So people can be like, okay, do I have those symptoms? Do I know what those symptoms are? Like what's going on? Because I've honestly been complaining about pain for honestly, I would say like 4 years, something like that, but they never can find anything, or they never like this or like that or whatever. So like that's another thing. I'm just like, this is frustrating about it. But I was in a Bible study and they're like, this girl, she was talking about, oh, she had this, she had this. I was like, oh, okay, like people are having these conversations, but I feel like we're not having enough of these conversations. And I was just like, we have to be able to talk about these things so people aren't suffering and pain. Like we have to have that community. We have to have that safe space to talk about, to kind of know what in people are dealing with and maybe how that they can advocate for themselves. Because I'm a big advocate for myself. I think people should advocate for themselves as well. So thank you for sharing that. Do you have anything to add, Brianna?
No, you know what? I wanted to bring up something that Paula said about it being like an invisible illness.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many invisible illnesses out there, but I resonate to what she said so much because you can look like you're fine and everything's cool and chill, but you're in pain.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned to do that my whole life. I forced myself to go to the party. I forced myself to celebrate the birthday brunch. I forced myself to go on the trip. Like everything was a forced thing, and I had to try to hide behind what I was, even though, like, I would tell people pain, but it's like kind of look okay, you look fine, and it's like, do I have to get in a wheelchair or fall on the ground for you to believe me? You know, I would just kind of learn to deal with the pain. So I just wanted to bring that up, what that Paula said, that definitely resonated with me, that this is an awful, chronic, invisible illness that has no cure.
Yes, chronic
And
illness.
we're so socialized to see pain as something that just has to happen, but like pain is not normal.
It's
Like
not.
the levels of pain are not normal, and it's just like the the chronic aspect of it, because like with as often as you menstruating every month means that every month the endometrial lining is going to shed, and so every month there's going to be an opportunity for it to repopulate,
And it
and
has
so it's
nowhere
like
to go.
literally, and so you have to like I think there are certain things. So before I like knew I had endo, I knew I had PMDD. And so for me, PMDD is premenstrual dysphoric disorder, and it is essentially like PMS on steroids.
Oh.
And you have like, of course, like intense cramping, sometimes bowel issues. A lot of it for me is emotional. Like
Mm,
I will there's like a literally a switch that happens when I go from premenstrual to my cycle is starting. And so it's like thinking about what are the systems that I have to put in place so
mhm,
that I don't react like off of PMDD, because that's where I'm at right now in my cycle. And so it's like literally, I think day before yesterday, I told my friends, I was like, I don't even think I want to do theater anymore. I was like, I just can't do anything. Like I'm so exhausted. And they're like, are you PMSing? And I was like, and what about it? And they were like, so let's think about, like where you're at. And it's just like it's frustrating because again, just the fact that it's chronic and it's like your everyday life. And I think about me as a single person with a rude ass cat. I can't imagine being a person who like is responsible for more than just myself and
mhm,
feeling like I have to come up with all these symptoms so that my heart so that there's not a moment where my heart out overpowers my mind and I make a decision that is not the best. And
mhm,
it's just yeah, it's just it's so frustrating.
mhm,
The chronicness of it, the fact that it's like you have to always come up with a plan. Like there's always a plan that has to happen so that you can feel like you're moving forward. Like it's like, okay, well, I might feel good this weekend. So I'm looking at the calendar, let me go ahead and get the chores done this weekend because
Right.
I know once Monday or Tuesday hits, it's a wrap. Like
Mhm.
when we get done with here, because by Wednesday,
Me
please.
too.
Look.
Fact.
Oh, okay, what's next? Yeah, and I think that's another thing too, like chronic pain and how you're saying invisible illnesses like that is frustrating because it's like people don't know everything. You don't know every symptom. People are like, oh, this or oh, this is like, no, they really might not feel good, or like, oh, they're doing this, they're doing that. Like people, of course, you can see disabilities physically, but it's always like you're forgetting about the people, or you don't even think about it. I think it's that's bringing the awareness to it. It's like you don't even know what these other things are, so it's like quit judging people. Like yesterday, I have a segment called Black Girls in the Salon, and I was talking about bonnets or whatever, and I was like, people are judging people on bonnets. Maybe that girl has somewhere to be that night and she don't want her hair to get messed up. If you natural, you know, like baby, the hair only gonna last a little bit, okay? So if she wants to preserve her hair, let her wear a bonnet, okay? Let's do that. So if somebody has to do something, as in this thing, if you're like, okay, I don't know if you have to wear something, but like if you're not feeling it, like this is what I'm doing, or like if say you're like using a wheelchair, you know, people are like, oh, like she looks young. Okay, you don't know her stomach could be killing her right now. She might can't be walking right now. Like she
Mhm.
don't feel good.
The internalized, so I think with endometriosis, so with my when I had surgery, it like literally all of the little bit of core strength I had, I'm a fat person, I've always had a larger body, but like all the core strength that I built up through to the gym, my Pilates, all that, et cetera, gone. And I
Mm,
think that's like when I think about having surgery, it's going to feel like that again. And something that I wasn't prepared for was like just the fact of like being able to like trying to walk around my apartment. I wasn't prepared for being winded. And so like the first time I went to the grocery store, like post surgery, I was like, "Ooh, I think I need one of these electric carts." And
mm,
like the way that I had to like sit there and have a conversation with myself, because I'm like, I shouldn't need an electric cart. Why do I need one? What are they gonna think about me? Da, 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 da. Like all the internalized ableism.
mm,
And it's like you have to shut all of it off and just think, okay, what is going to be best for me right now? I do
mm,
need this part. It is okay. No one's going to stop, judge, et cetera, et cetera. But it's just, yeah. Actually, I just sorry. This made me think of one random anecdote. Um, when surgery, you're cooped up. My mom, blessed, like she's the best. She came here from Georgia to take care of me. We were cooped up in here for like 2 weeks. And so we're like, okay, like let's go see a movie, something very chill. I can take my time walking to the theater. And like post surgery, my gait in terms of how I walk changed. Like I felt like everything was a lot heavier and hard to maneuver and just like in the way. So like the way I was walking changed. I walked a little slower. I was like constantly like rubbing my belly. So I'm just like, okay, this is like soothing in a way. And I'll never forget, we went to the movie theater, we went to Cinemark in St. Matthews, and this lady, her and I like I went to the bathroom multiple times. She'd seen me in the hallway, et cetera, et cetera. And then she like stopped me and she goes, "When are you due?" And I was like, "What?" And she was like, "I saw you rubbing your belly. Are you pregnant?" And I was like, "I just gave birth to an ovarian cyst." And she said, "I'm so sorry." And then she just walked away. And it's just like the things that like people say because they don't recognize what's going on with you is
mm,
wild.
mm, yeah, that's definitely wild. Cause like what? I just like people just be saying something. You were gonna say something. You were talking about like being a mother and stuff like that, and the lady asked like, "Do you have kids?" That's why like it kind of makes me cringe when people are like, "Oh, Happy Mother's Day!" Like I don't have any kids. Like why? Like the fact that like men or even some women like, "Oh, Happy Mother's Day!" Like why? Just because you see a woman does not mean that she's a mother. It's like we don't have to say Happy Mother's Day. You can just say hi and keep it moving. I feel like people just love the day so much, they just get excited over like hi Happy Mother's Day. Like calm down. You don't even know this. Like it just
Right.
means the randomness about that. Like I do not understand. But I know you're probably going to wrap up, but I wanted to we talked a little bit about this, but it's like womanhood and identity, since that is kind of what the podcast is about. We talked about like, how we think about about motherhood and the thing about, fertility and stuff like that. Do you feel like that has like changed your identity or view, um, within being like a woman, or do you feel like how has this shaped your experience of womanhood? Either one you can answer.
Bria, I'll let you go because I've been yapping too much.
No, I enjoy listening to the stories. I don't think it's changed my identity. Um, I am who I am. I am woman. I really don't care about the noise that is going on. I feel like already our worst critics.
Mhm.
I call them ants. I tell everybody about this. They call them ants. They're automatic negative thoughts. We
Oh.
all have them. And so I try not to let my ants get to me. I can't really worry about all the other thoughts and everything that are going on with other people because my automatic negative thoughts are already bad enough. And I'm trying to work on counteracting them and getting rid of those ants. So I really don't care about the noise.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, going on the fertility journey, I am starting to see things from a different point of view. First, you're dealing with the endometriosis. Now, you're going on the fertility side, and it feels like it's never ending.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just at the beginning. I'd be free to come back on a podcast and share, when that time comes. But right now, just kind of taking it day by day, appointment by appointment. And I feel like if motherhood is in the cards for me, whatever that looks like, it'll be.
Yeah. I also want to follow up because Paula has talked a lot about being like single, her mom being in Georgia, stuff like that. So she kind of has like her support system in Georgia. And you have a husband, right? You said you're married?
Yes.
I wanted to know, like, even at that part, like having that support system, like I don't know if you have family out in LA or like besides your husband, but like how has that been, having that support system, or maybe not even having your family there, like your immediate family kind of?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Sacramento, California. He's originally from San Diego, California. We live in Los Angeles. That's where we met.
Period.
We live in Los Angeles. We got married here in Los Angeles in November. So this is not last November. I've had a year. 2025 was a year.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Diagnosed, surgery, marriage. It's been a lot. 2025.
Yeah, that's what I wanted what I wanted to ask, because I was like getting married and like having that, but it's like, did you have these conversations like, motherhood? But now he sees like a diagnosis. Men don't, not just men in general, don't be knowing too much about what's going on. So I was like, having those conversations are like people out there like, how were you able to do all that? And then you got married last year, like, so that's why I was asking.
It's a lot. I'm gonna lie to you guys, it's a lot, but I got through it. So we both don't have any family here in Los Angeles. I am grateful for him being by my side. It was needed. But my family did travel from Sacramento and the Bay Area to come down and be with me. We ended up getting an Airbnb for a couple weeks, I think. Again, not even knowing I'd be in the hospital for 6 days, which is almost a week in itself. But very grateful that they were able to take the time off. People kind of switched off, came and left. To be able to care for me, because I needed it emotionally and really physically. So I felt very, very grateful for that. And as far as like the fertility aspect of it, my husband, he was in these appointments with me, and I'm like, you're hearing what they're saying, right? You hear this, right? Colostomy bag, stoma bag, potentially, or stoma, I should say, fertility issues. Like, you're hearing this, right? So I want you to be aware that, like, if you have any questions, please ask, because I don't want, something to come up later that you didn't know or what's going on. And I was blessed for him to be able to understand. And
Mm-hmm.
he actually apologized to me because he at some point was just like, "You're taking too much ibuprofen. You got the heating pad." And I'm like, "Yes, but I'm in pain." And he's like, "I know you're in pain," but he's just like, "Is that what you need?" I'm like, "It's what I need. I can't live without the heating pad. I am randomly allergic to Tylenol, the acetaminophen, so I can only take Motrin, which is going to be an issue all in itself, infertility and being pregnant, because you should
You
not be
can't take
taking Motrin
Motrin?
like that.
You can't take Motrin when you're pregnant?
You're not supposed to. Nope.
That's what too.
What?
So that's what I've been on my entire life. And he's just like,
Oh.
"You're taking too much." And then once we got the diagnosis and went to the appointments and surgery and this and that, he was just like, "I am so sorry." He's like, "I knew you were in pain." But like, it just, he was like, it was hard for me to comprehend. And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not just popping Tylenols just to like be popping it. Like, I'm in, I'm in pain."
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the support means a lot. I couldn't have done it without my family coming by my side. And
Yeah,
I
that's so
also want to
sweet.
mention my friends as well. They
Mm-hmm.
came in and, provided support as well. But if you're not going through it, if you're not another endo warrior,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to even comprehend.
Yeah, that's good. I wanted to echo you saying your friends, and I feel like sometimes even in friendships, I try to be more. I don't know if it's vulnerable or like honest, but it's like sometimes even in your friendships, like you don't have those conversations too. So it's like, how do you bring this up? Like, oh, I'm dealing with this, or oh, I'm dealing with that. And so even that you said like your friends came and stuff like that, I'm glad that your support system came to kind of help you go through that. So that's really beautiful, actually. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
I really have to, sorry, really quickly shout out my friends, Jess and Roy. I'm not going to say their last names.
Oh,
Um, they are, so Jess literally, I called her in true Paula fashion and be like, "Hey girl, I might have surgery, just a FYI." And she's like, "What are you talking about?" And I told her, and she's like, "Oh, I'm coming to the hospital right now." And it was like, it meant so much to me to not just have like physically to have her there, but also like because we've been friends for so long and like she's like seen the pain to like now like I'm like, okay, like she gets it. And now I felt like I had another line of defense if
mhm,
someone was like, "Oh, what's going on?" And like her and her husband Roy, like they were the greatest. They opened up their home and like took care of me, made sure my mom got in, and they it's just it's I think the like dealing with this has taught me that like even if you don't have like your blood family who are here with you, like you still have your found family. You still have your friends. And I think something else as Black women is that we have to be comfortable like asking for help and being okay with letting our friends and our family show up for us, even
mhm.
though it feels like incredibly frustrating.
Yeah. But I also think about that too in the times of like, I'm glad y'all have community, but in the times that people feel like they don't have community or they don't have friends, it's like this is showing that it's very important to have friends, to make those connections, to just be actually kind, like to be kind, to be nice. Like, it's really gonna make me sad. Like, to be kind because like so many times you have stuff. I had to go like actually last April, I got admitted to the hospital too. And my friend took me. I live by like my family lives on me. So like my dad like came real quick, like, but it was like so scary, like kind of like Paula, when you were like you went there, they're like, "Oh, we're taking you there," and boom, I'm like, I'm like, you gotta go to the ER. Like I went to the ER, they're like, "I'm taking you to the hospital." I was like, oh my, like the actual hospital. I was like, what is going on? You don't even have time to process it. Like you're like, what? Like should I'm still processing it a year later? Like what is going on? What's happening? So I think that that's very important and to talk about it. So that's another reason why I was like, no, we need to have these conversations. My dad's like, "Are you going to share it on Facebook?" I'm like, "Dad, no, I'm not going to put it on Facebook because I don't even know." People ask me, I don't even know honestly what is even going on. But I think it's important to have people to be like, "This is why you need friends. This is why you need community." And there's so much of like people are not having community, or it's so hard to build friends and connections. I think this is very important. There's a lot of people who are single, as in they may not be married, but they also their family may not be where they are. I think that that's kind of sad, and that is also kind of scary when people like want to move and stuff and go places. Because I'm like I was telling Bree like I want to move to LA one day, but I'm like I have nobody out there. So it's like I even think about that. Like if I move somewhere, well, if I have to go to the hospital, like who gonna help me out? Like who gonna take me? What? Oh, you told me
Wait,
you gonna be moving, girl. You told me you trying to leave, but yes. So I think about those things as like a single person, and so that's why I wanted to hear that.
yeah.
I think about that all the time. Like, I'm like, maybe I'm like the way that I'm like, maybe I should get the surgery while I'm here. Maybe I should find out before I move apart because you just never know what's going to happen. I think that that's very important, but also to we're bringing awareness, but also shining to light. Like community matters, and we really need to kind of like be more proactive. Not y'all, because y'all sound like y'all, but like in general, being more proactive with the community and talking about things and not feeling ashamed. Like we're all women, most women do want to have kids. So I'm not going to say that. I'm just saying that for this thing. But like we want to have kids. We want to have a family. Most women, not all women, but like we have to have these conversations so that we can know, hey, oh, I went to the doctor, this happened. Have you ever heard about this? Have you ever like I'm just inquisitive. So I be asking questions because I just be needing to know. To be like, I'm not the only one up in the doctor's office looking confused and saying what they be like, you have this, you have this. When the lady actually she talked to me about endometriosis and they want to put you on birth control. That's what I was gonna say. They always try to give you birth control. It's happened to me twice. I'm like, no, I don't want to go get birth control because what you're doing, you're just putting a band-aid over it. Like, oh, but this birth control does this, or this birth control does this. You need I'm like, there's 5 different birth controls, child. I need a pamphlet when I leave the doctor's office. I mean, like, I need a PowerPoint. Like, that's why I was like, I'm just gonna have conversations on my podcast because clearly, and then I personally don't like when people are like, oh, Black women are more prone to get this. I feel like all the doctors say that, but honestly, like, I feel like endometriosis, and I don't know everything, but I feel like more white women have endometriosis, or maybe they just get it diagnosed more quicker now.
That's
That could be right. That could be it because they love to say Black women got fibroids, child. So I've seen that, but I just think that all in all, I think that these conversations are very important, and you just want to hear things, and you're like, okay, I'm not alone. This is community. I see this, I know this, and we just have to kind of talk about it more. I was like, people don't talk about like their physical health. We hear mental health, but physical health matters, and it definitely plays a day role. Like you're saying, like I'm tired, I'm this, I'm that, like that physical really plays a role in your life when you have to go to work. When they be like, work out, do this, do that. I'd be like, child, I'm too tired to work out. Go to go to work, meal prep. So, I have no more energy. Like so.
Or if we do talk about physical health, it's always talked about as it pertains to weight. Like
Yes.
it's always weight. And it's something like I think that like it's you're more than just your size, and like your size is not it can be an indicator of things, but it's like it's not you are not yeah, it's not everything. And I think what you just said really struck me. Like we need to be thinking about I think we need to be thinking about our physical health as more than just our outside, but also what's happening in these insides, because that's going to affect the outside too.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that. Not that's why I be over the conversation. Everybody online just think they don't care about their health; they just care about aesthetics. So that's why I try to steer away from that conversation. Because a skinny girl can do a mukbang and they won't say anything, but a big girl eating mukbang. Why are you eating that? Why are you doing that?
Sweetie,
They eat the same thing. Who did you say? Oh,
sweetie,
I love her, but yes,
like in it, I don't follow her as much as I used to, but it's like there was like a time there on TikTok where it was like everyone wanted to see the new hot, fun, like out of the way combination that she was eating.
Combinations. Yeah, she doing weird combinations. I do remember that.
Yes. And then it's like a fat girl will be on TikTok just being like, here's me eating my cereal for breakfast. You're glorifying obesity. And it's like, what? Like, how do those things work?
Yeah, I just be like, what are people like? Oh, I don't eat vegetables, but I have 2% body fat. Okay, you still don't eat vegetables. Like
you're still constipated.
Like so, like I just don't even get into that conversation because it's so annoying. It's so irritating. Or like I did speak about it though, about like Gabby, like y'all just talk to her because if she was big, well no, she's big. If she wasn't famous, y'all wouldn't say nothing to her. But now that she's famous and y'all know her talent, now y'all want to talk to her. I do not subscribe to that. And I'm like, that's so irritating. But even skinny people can have diabetes and big people can have diabetes. Skinny, like, it's just so annoying. And I hate that. And that's another thing when you go to the doctor, they're like, oh, you just gonna be on, just like if you lose weight, then maybe your periods will be better. but I never said my periods was bad. Like maybe this, that, like they always like, oh, lose weight, but it's like, okay, thank you. So now it's like I gotta have 0% body fat for the doctor to listen to me, child. Do you have 0% body fat, doctor? I be wondering what they be thinking when they go to the doctor, if they go. But yes, that's kind of what I think about. But do y'all feel like you all? I know we're going over time. I see it now.
Okay.
Do y'all feel like y'all want to share anything else? Do y'all feel like y'all got everything out? I want to be able to give you all anything, any parting
Well,
word.
I did want to say something really quick to what you
Mhm.
guys were talking about with the weight. Um, a lot of these conditions that we're undiagnosed with are inflammatory. So
Mhm.
it's like, okay, we can talk about weight. We go in there, you give us the scale. Okay, you're obese, you're overweight, whatever that looks like on the scale. But I'm like, we have inflammatory conditions that have been undiagnosed for years. And we know that even with endometriosis, they can make your body look bigger. It's often not always weight, it's inflammation, it's bloating, it's
Mhm.
water retention. And so
Mhm.
it's like, why are we not talking about that? Like, why are we diving
Mhm.
into weight? It's hormones.
Yeah.
The estrogen plays a huge role.
Mhm.
Our
Yeah.
cortisol, stress, you
Yes.
get chronic pain, which we
Mhm.
have, plus stress equals higher cortisol. You hold on to the weight, you
Yeah.
store you store the fat, and it's like you can't get rid of it. So it's like it's you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You try to run, you try to walk, you try to go to the gym, but we have
Mhm.
conditions that
Yeah.
we're holding on to inflammation. So it's like, can we solve that part to help us with the weight loss?
Yes. You don't went to a whole nother can of worms because I was gonna say that's true. Like cortisol, and I'm learning about like estrogen with fibroids and all. It's like we don't know all that stuff. And inflammation is like inflammations in the body. Have y'all ever? I don't know if y'all tried it. Did y'all try like what they say like an inflammatory diet? Have y'all tried anything like that? Has that worked or not really?
I've tried it. I don't really think I saw the results that I wanted to see.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a part of it is like, again, like one thing with weight loss surgery is that it does like affect your digestion and like your ability to digest things. And so I think sometimes with the anti-inflammatory diet, it felt like it was hard to get those things down.
Oh,
It,
okay.
yeah, and it's something where I think when people talk about like weight loss, they just assume that everyone just eats so much. They just assume that like people who are in larger bodies just eat all the food they want to. And it's like actually it's for some people it's the opposite. Like it's sometimes you don't eat enough and then
Mm-hmm.
your body holds on to that fat
Mm-hmm.
and then it just like it feels like your body reacts as if it's never going to get food again. And
Yes.
so I think that's something for me. Like, I know, like, I'm not like a fervent scale watcher, but I know, like, in February, I gained like 10 pounds because it was like I was barely eating, but it's because I couldn't keep anything down. Like, nothing tasted good, nothing like was working for me. And it's like, yeah, so I could be upset at the scale, or I could also will realize that the reason I'm going through this is because like my body is recovering from like one of the biggest like inflammation issues or inflammation attacks it's ever had. So of course this is going to be
Mm-hmm.
something that happens.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I definitely understand. Oh yeah, because you were saying, oh, because you can't eat certain things after you have like the surgery.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
okay.
And so it's like one of the things like you're not supposed to do like heavy carbs, but it's like one of the few things that I could eat that didn't make me nauseous was like mashed potatoes. Like that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and again, recovery looks different for everybody, but it's like it's so incredibly nuanced. I think if there's anything that I could say is that it is so incredibly nuanced, and your story is not going to be the same as the next person's story, but like the biggest thing is just telling your story to begin with.
Yes, I love that. I love that. That's a great way to end. Do you have anything else of my? You kind of answered my question, so I was gonna say, what do you wish more people know about, or what would you share with someone who's going through this? Do you have anything to add to that, Brianna?
As far as endometriosis,
Oh
or
yes. Mm-hmm.
yeah, well, I am available via Instagram, Endo Aware with Bree. You can DM me or email me. My email's there. But I feel like if I could say anything, it's just to continue to advocate for yourself. And if you have to fire a doctor and hire another doctor,
Yeah.
continue to do that. If
Mm-hmm.
they say all is left is to get surgery, just get the surgery. We can figure it out later as far as finances, and as far as support, because what happens is this chronic illness, it mimics cancer. And I'm going to say that again, it mimics cancer. You take it away and it grows back. There is no cure. And so if we just let it go untouched, it will continue to grow. It'll continue to get worse. It'll continue to grow up. And it's been on all organs of the body. And so I would just say continue to fight, continue to ask questions, and just continue to advocate for yourself. That is the biggest thing. Pain is not normal, no matter what you hear.
Yes. Do you have anything else you want to add, Apollo?
Insurance companies are a scam. Health insurance is a scam. Something that they told me is like, no, that all of this is selective, or elective surgery. And I'm like, there's no way that this should be elective, because this is literally going to change my quality of life. So if any part about the insurance like seems scary, don't hesitate to reach out to people in your life who can answer questions about health insurance. And like, just get that second opinion. Also follow me on Instagram if
Okay.
you would like.
Yes. Well, thank you all for joining. I really appreciate this. I think this was actually really good and knowledgeable. And if you are listening out there and you're on the replay, just make sure you comment, you support these ladies, and you support the live, you subscribe to the live or subscribe to the channel and come back, because I want to do more awarenesses that affect women each month. So we'll work on that. But if this is your first time, thank you all for joining. Tomorrow, I'll be going live again to talk about Insecure, where we focus on the main characters of the show that we relate to and that we think show us womanhood on the screen differently. So thank you all for joining. Thank you all for coming as well. And we
Thank
will.
you for the platform and for reaching out to us. Like, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank y'all for sharing your story so I can reach out to y'all. Okay. Thank y'all. If y'all stay, we will end it, and then y'all have a great rest of y'all Sunday.
All
Thank
right.
you. You too.
Bye.
Bye.